From iWeather First, this is a tropical update. A new advisory is out from the National Hurricane Center. Good morning to you. I'm iWeather First meteorologist Richie Pergolesi with today's tropical update. And we've got two new additions to the family to talk about. Besides Hurricane Lee and Tropical Storm Margot out there, we have two disturbances, one with a 30% chance of development over the next 3 to 5 days, and another one with 0%. And notice here, it's kind of coming off of a little bit of a conveyor belt, you would say, off of Africa as that sub-Saharan dust gets kicked up there. And we are now in the peak of hurricane season here, so we're going to be expecting to see more of this action happening over the next coming days and weeks. There's the Atlantic wide view right here. We can see all those four systems churning in the Atlantic here. Let's go ahead and talk about Tropical Storm Margot. So on the visible, we can see that shear continues to impact Margot's ability to become better organized, and this imagery also shows that the low-level center of the system remains on the southwestern edge of the deep convection. Margot is currently within an environment of moderate vertical wind shear, which is inhibiting the organization of the system. Despite the less than favorable environment, the intensity guidance has been persistent in Margot, gradually strengthening over the next few days as it enters a more favorable upper level wind pattern and continues over warm sea surface temperatures. Here's the latest on Margot. The winds are now up to 50 miles per hour sustained, moving now north-northwest at 9 and expected to become a category hurricane by Tuesday morning. Not going to affect us here. For us here on the islands and for the other parts of the land, we're not going to have any issues. So that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and talk about Hurricane Lee. The latest NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicated that Lee has a larger banded type eye as compared to yesterday. However, on the visible and infrared, I can barely see an eye, if anything here, which indicates that cloud filling is still happening here. The vertical wind shear over Lee appears to have relaxed some since yesterday, as there has been an expansion of the upper level outflow over the southern and southwestern portions of the storm. Most of the guidance suggests that the shear will decrease more over the next couple of days, allowing Lee to re-strengthen. So just because it's weak now doesn't mean it's not going to get a little bit better organized in the coming days. As we can see here on the infrared satellite, the wind speed here, the forecast calls for steady re-strengthening during the next 24 to 48 hours, then shows some gradual weakening after that time due to the potential for upwelling. And for those of you who are not familiar with upwelling is a process in which deep cold water rises towards the surface. So winds blowing across the ocean surface push water away. Water then rises up from beneath the surface to replace the water that was pushed away. This process is known as upwelling. And upwelling occurs in the open ocean and along coastlines. Let's go ahead and run the models again. Here are the GFS and the Euro models here. So by midweek, a mid-latitude trough moving into the northeastern United States is expected to weaken the western extent of the ridge, allowing Lee to turn northward. Meanwhile, that ridge of high pressure to the northwest of Lee is forecasted to build southwestward during the next couple of days, further slowing Lee's progress here. And we can still see after the next 3 days, the forecast kind of splits off a little bit here. And the GFS model has it going here. These are the next 5 days by Friday, all the way north past the island of Bermuda here, whereas the European model has it strengthening a little bit more, but maintaining more of a southerly position and more west of Bermuda by that same time. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. Again, still too far out to tell who's going to get the storm, if anything, or get the impacts from it. There's a snapshot of the GFS Friday at noon, and there's a snapshot of the Euro model at that same time, just a little west of it there. So either it's going to pick up speed and turn up, or it's going to slow down a little bit and maybe take that westerly approach there, and it's all going to depend on that ridge of high pressure and that upper level trough in the jet stream there acting as the steering. So here's the latest on Hurricane Lee, now a Category 2 hurricane. The winds have been bumped down from 115 to 110 miles per hour sustained, moving west-northwest slower now at 8 miles per hour. However, the Hurricane Center feels it with all the forecasting guidance that it is expected to re-strengthen into a major Category 4 hurricane with winds of 130 130 miles per hour by Monday morning, and then losing strength at around Thursday morning and going back down as a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 110 miles per hour. And then by Friday, weakening even further to a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 90 miles per hour. Bermuda is now in the forecast cone. Now remember, the forecast cone is where the eye is expected to be. So the eye could be anywhere within that cone of air, not in the center. That's not where you want to be looking. You want to assume anything in that cone can be where the eye could be positioned. So it could be all the way off to the west or all the way off to the east. And again, time will tell as we get closer and we'll know a little bit more. Here's the earliest arrival times for tropical storm force winds, which are winds of 39 miles per hour or greater. We can see Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands and Dominican Republic are now out of that. However, there's some islands in the Bahamas that have a 5 to 10% chance of receiving tropical storm force winds around Tuesday morning. And then there's Bermuda. If this is going to pass by Bermuda, they're going to be expecting tropical storm force winds about a 20 to 30% chance around Thursday morning. So we'll monitor that and we'll let you know. And another thing too, there is dangerous surf and life-threatening rip currents happening right now over the northern Leeward Islands, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico and Hispaniola at this time. And the Bahamas and Bermuda are going to get into that a little bit later in the week. And the east coast of the United States is going to be affected by this. By how much? Not sure yet. However, there's going to be some wave heights happening here. So we'll keep you updated on iWeather first. So that's the latest from the tropics. Let's go ahead and bring it back home. As we get into next week here, we have temperatures. The highs are going to be into the low 90s with a 30% chance of rain throughout the week. And that is your iWeather First forecast. I'm meteorologist Richie Pergolese. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell to be notified of new updates.